All right. Also, at the end of the last video, we were here, and it's a crucial place, and it's kind of a fun place. We did all the hard, dirty, boring work, and now we get to reap the rewards. Um, but but first, and so we're gonna make this data, and I think I'm gonna put it in a separate file. And then we can bring it in wherever we want to bring it into the app. Honestly. Um, But first, I think what I'm going to do is make a file. I often have a file like this for utilities. And what I'm going to put in this utilities file is just um, a random color generator. And so this random color generator is going to be a function that is going to generate and return a random color for me. So I'm going to say return, and this is a cool, like watching these videos was probably worth it just for this function, which you could have found easily on the internet in about 3 seconds. But it's a function I really like, and what it does is just generate a random hex value. So we'll go math.floor, whoops, math.floor of math.round, whoops. So these are two methods from the math library. So we'll generate math.random. Math.random gives us a number between 0 and 1, a float. Math.random times a really big number. 1, 6, 7, 7, 7, 3 sevens, 2, 1, 5. And over time, that number will probably become second nature to you. That is a hexadecimal value. That is the number of numbers in a color code. And so we'll say, yeah, math.floor, math.round to string with 16 places, and that should work. So in order to use this function in my other code, all I need to do is export it, just like we've been exporting our other functions. And I can import it into this bird data. So I'll say import get random color from utils. And actually, I need to do this because it's not a default export. So now we'll have get random color. And now we can use get random color to help us generate our those two colors we need. So let's go back to our BG and bring this bird data out. And what we can do is we'll import it here. We'll import it from, okay, so now we're inside of our components folder. We need to go outside, so I'm going to say dot dot, and we'll go to bird data. And so we're gonna paste that bird data in, and we'll bring it in here. All right. Export const bird data, and just make sure that's working as usual. Come back to our BG. We've got our bird data. Piling. Get random colors defined but never used. True. But everything's working. So now we're going to use get random color in bird data. We're going to say head color is equal to get random color. And so is iris color. right? And so the return value of getRandomColor is going to generate me a random color. And now, at the very least, what I should see is, uh-oh, is not a function. What did I do? Get random color from utils. And let me just see. Is it a function? Object is not a function. I think I goofed. So export const get random color. Maybe that's not where I goofed. Where did I goof? Bird data. Maybe it's bird data. It's not a function. Bird data has a head color. Take a look at BG, and we'll see bird data comes in. Let's just log bird data here. And just see what we get. If we get anything in there. Oh, it seems to be working just fine. Except that head color and iris color are not a number. So I made a goof, I think, in my function. Let me just see if I can figure out where that is. Get random color should return template literal math.floor math.random. Ha. Now we should get random colors every time. There we go. So now we're getting nominally different random colors each time. And let's generate also random size. So we'll go back to bird data. And head size is going to be math.random times 150 plus 50. For now, we can also make those numbers into sort of constants, and we'll say this value here. We'll say, you know what? Let's do that. Let's set. Threatened to do this before. Let's say export const canvas width equals window dot inner width export const canvas height equals window dot inner height. And so now we'll have those as well. We'll bring those into BG that way. And make it nice and clean. Bird data, canvas width, canvas height. And that way you can also use those values in bird data. So this will be math.random times canvas width, and y is going to be math.random times canvas height. And then our random size. Let's think about this a little bit more now. We'll say this will be canvas height over 4, right? And that way, if the canvas should change dramatically in size, the birds will scale proportionally. And let's give it also a min size. And our min size we don't need to export this constant. We'll just say const min size equals, say, 10. All right, so now we've got a randomly generated bird. And let's see if all this works out according to plan. So far, so good. Now let's just make a bunch of these guys. What do you say? Last step, and in some ways the funnest step. So we'll have this min size. We've got those. And I think what I'm going to do is do this a little differently. Instead of calling this bird data, I'm going to call it birds. And we'll keep this object down here for reference. Actually, we'll probably use this object in the function we're about to generate to make these birds. But first, before I forget, we'll bring birds in. And now in bird data, we're going to use an array method that I talked about in those videos. Birds is going to be equal to an array dot from length numbers. And so the first we'll pass in this object. It's going to specify the length. And now we'll specify a function that's going to generate each one of the elements of this array. And we'll say this one will be bird index. And so those two values, the first value is a name that I chose to reflect what each one of these elements of the array is going to be. And the second is the index number of that array. And I'll show you where I use that. Index number is in creating this object. So we'll say ID. We're going to make a unique ID for each one of these. And I'll show you why we need that in a minute. And we're going to specify then the rest of these things. All right, so we'll bring the rest of these in. And figure out why this isn't working. Right, I need to return a value for each one of these. And now, so we've got numbers, which isn't declared yet, so we'll say we'll just set that to 100. And now everything else should work beautifully. I should be able to, console.log birds. And bird data is not defined. I'm back here in BG, birds, bird data. And so now we want to console.log birds. And here, we'll just pause this for a sec. So we won't see any birds, but we should see our array. And there we go. We've got an array of 100 items of bird data. Beautiful. I love these array methods so much. All right. And now, just to show you how we do this, this part is super fun and easy, and it's another array method. So what we're going to do is, in place of this, we're going to say birds dot map, pass in, for each one of these birds, we're going to return a bird, which remember is a function. We're going to return a bird, And that bird remember, we need to pass in bird data. Let's just see if that worked. Oh my gosh, look at that. 100 birds. So I don't know if any of that made sense to you. It made sense to me, but I was doing it. And every time we refresh the browser, we're going to get a different bunch of birds. We can do anything we want with these birds. We can make a game. We can feed them. We can do anything. But I am just going to use it as a background, I think, in the next video, which is going to be much more React-y. Going to be much more like building an actual app. For this one, I just wanted to show you around a little bit, and I hope it intrigues you enough to come back for the next one. Oh, one last thing. So we're going to have, if I look in my console, I'm going to stop logging the birds and stop logging the birds and take a look at my console. Oh, and I'm logging every time in I think, yeah, I'm logging X and I data. Get rid of that. So just cleaning it up a little bit. And here we go. And so now I've got a little small error. And it's not a breaking error, everything compiled, but it's reminding me that each child in a list should have a unique key prop. And that's kind of what we've created here in bird or BG. When we make a bird, we've created a whole bunch of these birds. And we can look in our elements. We can see we've made all these G's here, right? We've made a lot of stuff. And none of these things have IDs. And React's warning me that's not a good idea. So what I'm going to do is add that key right here. bird.id. And that was that ID I made using that index before. And now if I look over here, that's gone. Everything works. That was fun. I hope it meant something to you. And I hope it inspires you to think creatively about your React projects. All right. Have a great day, and